welcome to another exciting episode of Saturday Shade. I'm your host, Nene Kabutey, and on today's topic, we are going to talk about interracial relationship. But don't forget to join us on any of our social media platforms. On Instagram, Saturday Shade, on Twitter, @SSNKabutey, and do not forget to use the hashtag Saturday Shade as well. And as always, I have some amazing people joining us today. Listen, today is like we're going all out, okay? We showing out. We don't give a damn, but we're going to be all right. So I have with me some awesome people. I have Miss Erica Blue. At the top, we on Zoom, so y'all forget whatever I don't. Just don't look at this because you're going to get confused. We have Taylor right there. We have Willie, and we have Bree. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Saturday Shade. I'm happy to see y'all faces, though. You guys are looking good during the pandemic, so.
During the pandemic.
In the middle of a
whole parallelogram.
Listen, and a shout out to Fits Up, Afro's Up for my t-shirt, repping my girl. So guys, check it out. So the conversation today, I want to know what you guys think about interracial relationships and everything that comes with it. So anyone can go first. So the ball is in y'all's court. So there you go.
I guess I'll start.
Okay.
So I personally am okay with interracial dating. I think honestly that love is love, and that's just a part of human nature. Like, nobody is obligated to just date within their race or whatever, or within their culture, whatever the case may be. But I do have a problem with fetishization. I can't talk this morning, but like
they'll be fine. They can look it up.
But when people have these weird fetishes with like certain races, or they assume that a black man does this, or a black woman does this, or a white woman does this, or a white, I just hate stereotypes, and I think a lot of people who pursue interracial relationships, especially like nowadays, they do that. They stereotype and they make assumptions based on someone's color, which is just as problematic and racist, in my opinion. But other than that, love is love. I think it's a beautiful thing. Love is beautiful in any capacity.
It sure is. Yeah, that's absolutely.
Yeah, that's my spiel.
To piggyback on that fetishization, I can't say it now.
They'll look it up. Trust me, they'll be fine.
They gonna get it.
I run into that with my glasses. Into that with a lot because people say it's love, but it's the idea of that. And I think with interracial dating, I think a lot of the concept of it is the idea of being with someone that's different than you. Like you want to, like, there's something deep inside you that you want to, like, I'm going to have someone fulfill that need. Because I remember I went on a date with this Cuban guy. I think he was Cuban.
Ooh, she going across the border.
Huh?
You going across the border, girl. Keep going.
He just told me that he never been with a black girl and he always wanted to. And he was just telling me all his experience with all the other races. And I'm like, okay, like being black is just not, like, I'm a person beyond my race. And you keep on like saying like, oh yeah, white girls are crazy. They're so into you. Hispanic girls are like feisty, but black people, I just never got to experience that. And I mean, that was a turn. Like when he said that, I'm like, why am I here?
I'm gonna go home.
but just going deeper into like interracial, like I'm always for love is love. I have so many people that are in my family that are biracial and like products of love from two different parents. But with the Black community and interracial dating, I think you have to go into like go deep into it, because especially in this society, we've been programmed unconsciously of that we aren't worthy enough as we are. And I don't know, like there could be something there like, oh, we're going outside of our race in order to fulfill that need that we're not even aware of. And we get that a lot. Like my friend last night told me yesterday how someone, she was in a car and some Black guy cussed her out. And the person sitting in the other seat was like a white guy. They were dating. And I think we get that a lot with the Black community. it's just like a hatred for the race. Like people are so disrespectful to Black women, Black men at least. And I see that so much when, especially when they're in the relationships, because there's just, I don't even know how to verbalize it. Because even like when we see like men, like let's take the realm of entertainment. A lot of people, a lot of Black men that are at the top are dating someone of a different race. And I think that can really get into your mental. Like, why is it
That's this at the top.
two people together? Like, is it like you start questioning it? And I'm like, why is that? If love is love, why don't I see a diversity of that, especially when they're at the top? But I'll stop talking.
No. I 100% agree with what you're saying. And let me just say this. I think that we oftentimes forget that as Black people, we are an experience. We're an experience within ourselves. And I think that we have to hold ourselves to that and know our worth. But when it comes to interracial dating, I fall on what is the straddling of the fence. I go back and forth between here and here, like rather I'm with it, rather I'm not. And it's only because of my life's experiences. And I feel that, your life's experiences shape and mold who you are as a person when you become an adult. And from what I have experienced, having a brother who is biracial, who's a product of a biracial marriage, there are certain things for me that are non-negotiables. And when our values don't align with each other, that's a whole different conversation in itself. Like we can bring each other on the same value, on the same even level playing field. But when our values in the big picture of life don't equal out to the same, then you kind of have like this tug of war that happens. And I think that from my experiences, that's what I've experienced with my father and his ex-wife as it relates to my brother. Like there's this tug of war in values. And at the end of the day, let me say this. I think that when you bring people, especially when you have a Black father and a, other race woman, you have to remember that at the end of the day, this child is they're going to reflect their father's cultural and physical features. And you have to raise that child as if they are a fully Black man. And that's what I talk about when I talk about values. Because when you like, oh, well, he's not going to have these problems. No, he is. Because at the end of the day, no matter how curly his hair is, no matter how many streaks of highlights and blondes, this is a Black boy. And if you're not raising them as such, that's when I talk about values.
The values. Okay.
Yeah. And
Taylor.
That's actually, that's something my sister has had to learn because my brother-in-law is from Haiti, so he's Black. And, she's like, she was aware of it, but I think what happened this summer with Black Lives Matter and everything, I think it was more of like there's a difference like from knowing and then being like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so she had to have like a lot of conversations with him and everything. Because, my family, like we're the type of family, like we're very protective of each other and like we go hard for people and stuff. But so she would say like, oh, if the police come after my husband, I'm going to like, get in the way, that type of thing. And I'm just like, and he had to educate her and say like, no, you can't do that. Like your like reactiveness could put my life at risk. Like you have to be calm and everything. And that was something that she was just like, oh, what? Because she's so defensive. Like she's always on the defense. And so that was something that was really hard for her to learn. And then also, just kind of accepting too, like when she has kids, because, they're trying to have kids right now. And so just accepting that when she has kids, like, she kind of had to learn, like, I'm never going to be able to relate to them in that sense. Like, they're only going to be able to relate to their father. So that was something she kind of had to come to terms with. And then, just kind of understanding that she, as much as she would want to be like the mama bear, she's going to have to approach things differently. So it was definitely something that like over the summer, you know, I talked to her through a lot and everything. And you know, as a family, we just talked about it. And then like, it's stuff we've always been aware of, but it's just, like you said, you know, when you're like, oh, that's how it is. Like when you're actually living it, because it's one thing to talk about it and see it, but when you're actually living it, it's different. So it's definitely been interesting to see like what her process has been, but she's definitely come a long way. So.
Well, at least that's good. Like you say, your family does support, I mean, everyone, like just to get to the understanding, okay? Because for example, you know, I'm African, like every day, all day, I rep that shit real hard, okay? But you know, when I had to realize, no, I actually got experience like in a racial relationship, like at a very young age, because one of my uncles actually married like a Caucasian lady in London. So honestly, I never thought about it like that. We just like, that's a person and that's it, you know, because I've been to London like during the summer times, it's always fun. But I realized when I moved to America, like realizing all these, I'm like, hold on a second. This is like some real shit. Like this really happens. Because in my family, I think a few people might have seen this picture before. I think Bree, I put in like one of our group texts. We have like a picture frame in my mom's house, right? That is like literally diverse people. I have cousins who are actually like Indians, like Hispanics, like literally. I'm like, oh, so no one. I'm always okay, you know, fitting everywhere I go. Yes, I do make fun of people all the time. I make fun of my damn self. That doesn't make me a racist or shit, but you know, people sometimes just take things like over the board, you know. Because I remember I actually went to a restaurant one time and this guy walked up and he was trying to get a reservation. They said it was going to take like about a few minutes. He was black. Later on, this lady walks in. She was Caucasian, right? She was like, oh, she want to get a reservation. It took less than 3 minutes for her to get a reservation, right? And I was like, what is happening right here? Then I realized she got the table, stepped outside and came back with a guy. And guess what? That was her husband. And she had to literally call, the manager, like, that is so unfair. I was like, look, it's something like, you know, such things you only see like in movies and stories. I'm like, damn, this really happened like right in front of us. Like, you know, is it a problem for people to date from different races? Like,
yeah, and it's so funny you say that. So I grew up in Mississippi, if you couldn't tell by my accent.
Deep South.
But my best friend is white. And growing up, it's like I didn't realize the dynamic of our friendship changed as like we grew older and we learned more. But like there were so many moments that when we were younger, we didn't realize that people were being racist towards us just for being interracial besties. Like, you know, me and her would like, we would go to the mall on Saturdays, like most middle schoolers, right? And like people in the stores would literally follow us around because it's a black girl with a white girl, you know, they might steal, blah, 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 blah. Like we had so many the people being very racist to us. And then on top of that, she has mostly dated black men, right? So because hell, we went to a majority black school in the middle of Jackson, Mississippi. She kind of didn't have a choice, you know. Like, you know, there weren't a lot of white guys at our school anyway. And that's just what she was attracted to. And, you know, I think a lot of times, like especially in high school, a lot of girls didn't like her because they assumed that she was dating these men, these young men for a fetish. Like she just wanted them because of, you know, sex or whatever the case may be. But she was like, no, I mean, I'm just attracted to them, right? But, you know, I can't blame the other women for feeling the way that they felt because that is a stereotype and that does happen. Like right now I live in Memphis, Tennessee. I think I told Willie about this, but when I first moved here, I went on Beale Street, which, you know, that's a big entertainment district. And there was this white girl with her black boyfriend. And I noticed that she was speaking like in AAVE and being very like over the top ghetto, rolling her neck and like just doing a lot. And I could tell it wasn't genuine. Because I mean, like if you grew up in a certain neighborhood, you're going to talk a certain way. But I could tell that it wasn't that. Like you could tell because she used the word wrong. And I knew, I was like, yep, you don't know what you're talking about. She's trying too hard. And then like a song was playing and she said the N-word. And like when I say y'all, like a record scratched, like, and everybody looked at her and him and they were like, hey.
Get it together.
Yeah, they were together and everybody was like, hey, you gotta she can't say that word. Just because she's dating you doesn't mean she can say the word. And it was like a whole big deal. Like people were all in her face and, you know, all that. But I'm just saying, you know, we have to understand that there are so many nuances to interracial dating and just race in this country in general. Like, you know, we have to extend grace to people because some people just don't know. But, you know, that's why we have Google. Google is free. You know,
everybody's best friend. It is definitely free. Yeah.
Yes, and I agree with you. There are several nuances, and we do have to extend grace. But let me also say this. It is not up to the person that you are dating to teach you these things. It's up to you as a person to go and want to learn these things. You shouldn't put that burden on them to teach you about our culture and our history. Now, if you have questions, then, you know, we can talk about it and I can answer them. But don't put that burden solely on me to teach you these things. And most importantly, to the people that choose to date outside their race, you got to understand that people are going to give you looks. People are going to give you side eyes. That's what comes with the territory. So don't be offended when you walk into a place where the melon and the chocolate is dripping and you walk in with somebody who doesn't look like us.
Yeah.
Because then, yes, the whole room is going to stop and stare and turn and look. But you have to understand, yeah, that comes with the territory. But like, I really want to point out that it is not up to the person that you are dating to teach you about their culture.
Yeah, I have a question though. I don't know. I mean, I hate to use this country as an example, but the fact is, was this country built in a way that you can't really date outside of your race?
I mean, yeah, there was laws against it.
Yeah,
like
the love of the story.
Let's go history lesson.
Marrying people outside of your race.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was built that way.
Absolutely.
So,
and then even if you think about like just segregation in general, like my mom was born in 1956. And so she literally saw integration happen. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta think like, I couldn't imagine being like in middle school and I've never been in class with a white person or a person who wasn't Black. You know what I'm saying? Like our country, especially in the Deep South, you know, segregation was a thing. And honestly, it kind of still is. Like if you go to certain neighborhoods, like in certain neighborhoods in my hometown, there are only Black people or there are only white people. I mean, and this is 2021. Like seriously, there are streets in my neighborhood that are known for being predominantly Black or predominantly white or predominantly Hispanic. You know what I mean? Like it's still a thing. It's definitely still a thing. So it makes it difficult to even breach the subject of interracial dating.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like Taylor said, it was a crime back in the day, but I feel like things have changed now. So my question to everyone is, would any of you guys be open to dating outside of your race? I didn't say marriage though, dating.
I mean, I've only ever dated outside of my race, not intentionally. It's what's happened. So yes,
did you get,
I'm
like, any
open to it.
Okay, did you get like any backlash when you did? Like maybe family, close friends, like maybe when you guys went out or anything like that?
I mean, my direct family honestly doesn't care. They're like, okay, they could be purple and I really wouldn't care. And my extended family doesn't really know about my dating life, but I mean, when my sister married my brother-in-law, like there was zero issue. That was actually one thing that did kind of suck when my sister was marrying her husband, just because people kept asking me like, oh, your parents are okay with it? And like, I understand why they're saying that because historically, but at the same time, it's just like, well, you know me, you see who I'm around, like all my friends are mixed, you know, cultures.
If y'all don't know Taylor, she is down for the people, okay?
Yeah, so just like, so you know who I am, and I'm a product of my parents. Like I'm like that because of my parents. Right. So what makes you think like my parents would be against that? So like, whereas I understood where that comment was coming from, I still find it like very offensive because I was just like why would you think my parents are hateful people? They're not. And so that kind of bothered me. And then my mom just got comments from like old classmates, people she wasn't friends with, old classmates, like because she would post like their engagement photos and can't wait for the date type of thing. And they'd be like, oh, like you're okay with that? And my mom is like the sweetest lady ever. She would never, but she was just like, enough. She said some things. So like, you don't want to piss off my mom, because when she does, she goes off, because she rarely ever does. So it's just like, come on, you know? So that was very disappointing, but in some sense, not surprising and stuff. But yeah, like my family, like, legit doesn't care about it and stuff. They're open to everything. But kind of like what we've been talking about, though, I am, you know, very aware of the fact that, like, we are going to have differences. There are going to be certain things that I just don't understand. And, you know, I'm already like put it on myself to educate myself about things and stuff. So, but then also, you know, at least I go in open knowing that I'm going to have discussions where it's like, well, you don't understand this perspective because you're white and stuff. So like, I'm very like open to it. I mean, me and my brother-in-law just have those conversations all the time and stuff, like where he talks about his experience and all that stuff. And it's something that he's choosing to kind of talk about and give his side and everything. I don't go to him saying, what do you think about this or anything? It all happens like naturally, because sort of like what they said, I put it on myself to educate myself. I don't put it on those people. So
yeah, that's true. Bree, what about you? Would you ever be open to that, or have you ever dated, you know, outside your race?
I don't think I haven't dated outside my race. Not because, I mean, I just, whoever comes my way, I'm not like, oh, I'm never going to do that. Yeah, I'm not closed off. But I would. I think dating might be a little bit hard. Like, you say dating and marriage.
No, just dating, not marriage. Like, just dating, yeah.
Yeah, but I think a lot of, because I think you really have to step into interracial dating fearless, because the odds are always against you, especially with the climate and the country with it. And I think those are like successful because people with that, you're like, you have those two people that are trying to connect despite all that. And I think there has to be a level of compassion on both sides. And with that, I think that's the strength that can lead to that marriage, because I think in the basis of all relationships, you do have to have that compassion of like, oh, I know I can see this person doesn't truly understand, so I'm going to extend my hand and help you. And I think the stigma around it definitely needs to be broken down in the society. And that's why it's been like trivialized. And that's so detrimental to how much healing interracial dating can bring for that reason, because you're actually putting in the work with the person individually, having compassion with someone that can trickle out into society. And that's what we desperately need in the climate of race relations, because people want to be so separate. And in order to solve this issue, we have to come together. And I think that is, interracial dating is like one of the, can be one of those aspects that can help with that. It's not the only one, of course, but definitely on an individual level. But yeah.
Come on.
It's a preacher. Like, this is how, literally, this is how we about to end this right now.
and to kind of piggyback off that, I hate the term piggyback, but whatever.
I love that term.
It's such a like freaking word now. But anyway, like to like answer your question, like I've only dated people like men of color. Like I've never dated a white man, but I've always dated Black, Hispanic, like within the diaspora, I guess. And that was just off of like my environment where I've lived and the type of people I've been around. But I would definitely be open to it. I don't have an issue with it, because I think like, as I've been learning and educating myself, because just because I'm Black doesn't mean I know everything, right?
Sure.
About our culture and about our story, especially as like a Black American woman from the South, the deep South. There's so many like layers to who I am and my identity. And I'm totally open to dating someone who doesn't necessarily look like me, as long as they have, an open heart and an open mind. And, you know, they come from a family or from a background of people who have the same, because I know that a lot of people who I know who are in like interracial marriages or relationships, it's never their like parents that have a problem. It's the grandparents or the aunts or the uncles,
the cousins who don't even show up to family reunions.
Like I have a friend who she's black and her fiance is white, and like his like toothless inbred cousins from the Carolinas are. I don't like those people because they made my friend. But they're hillbillies and they're very uneducated people and they're very ignorant, and they have basically created like Facebook accounts to just troll them. Like it's horrible, and be very racist and very hurtful. And so, you know, those are things that like you have to like explore. And I'm not saying don't date somebody because they come from that type of background, because people change and stuff. But, you know, it's definitely something that, you know, if I was ever in that situation, y'all know, like, you know, a few of y'all know me personally, you know, I will curse somebody smooth out.
Amen to that.
Respectfully, degrees or not, education or not. But, you know, like I said, I think that those are the two things that I just would require: an open mind and an open heart, because you can read every book about racism, right? But if you're not thinking about it and you're not letting yourself really receive that information and understand and empathize, it won't work. And I am dating to marry, so
hello, hallelujah, somebody.
I'm thinking about the long-term effects of dating every person that I date now. And, you know, and if I do end up dating someone who isn't Black, and who isn't a person of color, then, you know, that's going to be what I want to explore. That's like, we got to talk about it, because we may end up marrying each other and we may end up having children together. So like I said, that's my little two-piece on
Take on it. Okay.
I'll do it. You know, I'm down.
Okay. I mean, I will if I have to, but I mean, I like season, but I will if I have to.
So for me, I am going to say no. And I want everybody to receive and hear why I say no.
Okay.
I'm not at a place in my life to where I have the time, the space, or the energy to give to something that is going to make me have to deal with certain things. You understand where I'm coming from? Do I believe that love is love? I absolutely do. I think that you should love and you should attract yourselves and, you know, align yourself to anybody. That energy is there and the love is there. But for me personally, I do not have the time, the energy, hell, probably not even the resources to help you, because that's just not a place I'm at in my life. Because I'm at a place in my life where I love my people, and I love what we bring to the table. And I love helping people find their worth. And if that means that I have to start with the people who look like me, that's what I'm going to do. Okay. Does it mean that I'm like, oh no, get away from me? I don't want, no. We could be cool. You know, we can hang out, go to the movies, you know, post-COVID, you know, we can, you know, have a little drink. But as for me, I don't want to put that time and energy, because I'm already, as a Black man, I'm already fighting so much other stuff. I don't have time to sit here and teach while I fight these people over here, and I try to tell these people how I should be treated. I can't come over here with you and teach you how to treat me. And that's for me. Like, again, love is love. I love it. But for me, as for me in my house, it's a no here.
He didn't turn like the little preacher. Actually, you know what? It's actually, I mean, the way you just close it off is actually fun anyway, because I'm like, damn, he said me in my house.
That's for me in my house.
But I just want to say, you know, thank y'all so much, because I feel like, you know, this is like an ongoing conversation. I know we are not going to be the first or the last to keep this conversation going. I feel like, you know, in this modern age and what we've seen happen the past year, is like people, we all have to learn. No, I hate to say people, I have to educate someone, but it's like, unfortunately, we get to a point where we have to like educate the people. Like, this is what you need to do in this kind of situation. You know, it sucks, but that's what we got to do. But I just want to say thank you guys so much for like joining me today on this conversation. Listen, I wish you could do over and over again, but I know these little motherfuckers at home are not going to watch an hour conversation. I know they're not. Yeah. I know y'all not going to watch it. So
you have to give it to them in segments. Give it to them in segments.
Exactly. So we're going to start with this. They'll be all right. And this one, they actually keep asking for more. I'm like, oh, y'all want some more? Okay, well, guess what? It's going to come. But I just want to say thank y'all so much for joining today. This has been like a breath of fresh air, okay? It's just like, wow. And for my listeners and viewers out home, thank you so much for like always tuning in. Don't forget to join the hashtag Saturday Shade and listen, send us your question. But let me tell you, if you send some dumb, I'm going to respond to the dumb question, okay? Because I ain't got time for it. Anyway, thank y'all so much. And as always, Saturday Shade is always about the fun. So thank y'all so much. Thank you. Thank you.